Okay. Hi, everyone. Thank you so much for joining. We're just going to give everybody just a couple minutes before we kick this off. Um, but yeah, in the meantime, if you want to let us know where you're from, if you feel comfortable sharing how many listings you have, we get to see like what audience we have on our call today. But yeah, we're a little bit early, so I'm just gonna give it like a minute or so, and then we'll kick it off. Cool. So we're just on the hour. Um, see how we're doing. Yeah, we can kick this off. Cool. So good afternoon, everybody, or good morning, depending on which side of the world you're signing. I'm from Cyprus, so for me it's the evening. But thank you all so much for joining us today. So this topic is basically around the service accommodation trends that we're seeing in the UK. So if you are a service accommodation provider, you'll probably notice that booking behaviour is shifting quite a lot. So for example, guests are booking later, patterns are feeling more unpredictable, and late demand is not always showing as clearly in your occupancy. So today we're going to literally dive into the data and just share some practical ways on how you can navigate these potential shorter booking windows and just provide more clarity on what you can do in terms of your strategy, your distribution, and your operations moving forward. Now, just a couple of quick housekeeping notes before we begin. This session will be recorded, so please don't feel like you have to take down notes. We will be sharing the recording straight after this webinar. Also, as well, we won't be able to answer your questions live. So if you do have any questions, please feel free to drop them in the chat box below. And we do have a member of the PriceLabs team already on hand if there's any pressing questions, so they'll be able to assist. Right, okay, so let's kick this off. So my name is Chrissy, or my full name is actually Christiana. I'm a partnerships manager here within PriceLabs, and I work very closely with our PMS partners, our channel manager partners, and I'll be covering key data points across the UK and just some tips on how you can adjust your pricing strategy to adapt to these new booking trends that we're going to see shortly. Now, with me today, I have John O'Gara, who's an enterprise account executive for the UK and the rest of the world, and he's signing for Rentals United. And also as well, we have Giles Norwich-Smith, who is the CEO of harmonics. So thank you so much for joining us, guys.
Hi, thanks very much for
you.
having us.
Wonderful.
Looking forward to this.
Yeah, it's going to be an interesting session. So let's see what we're going to cover today. So first, as I mentioned, we're going to cover like what is shifting in the UK market. And so particularly around like the booking windows and the late demand. Then I'll walk you through what we call the UK market pulse. So you can see what the patterns are behind the occupancy, the ADR, the RevPAR, and also identify all those last minute booking behaviors. And then from there, we'll just shift into some dynamic pricing actions. So some quick tips and tricks on how automation can help you react faster than manual pricing could. Following on from this, John will then take this over and just talk us through some smarter distribution utilizing Rentals United. And after that, Giles will cover also how you can enhance your operations using harmonics. So this will be like the full picture alongside with the pricing distribution strategies, the distribution the strategies, and also the operational side. And at the end, hopefully we have enough time, we'll go into a short panel discussions and what the key things that we're seeing in the market today. So for those who are not aware about PriceLabs, just a quick introduction as to who we are. So PriceLabs is a dynamic pricing solution and it's used across the wide range of property types. This includes short-term rentals, vacation rentals, mid-term rentals, service apartments, apartment hotels, villas. I can go on, to be honest. But as you can see, we cover a wide range of different properties. And we currently price over 550,000 units daily with over 100 plus countries. our team spread globally. So like I myself, I'm based in Cyprus, but we have team across the world which will be able to assist you within your local region. But what matters most today is how PriceLabs can help you make your job easier. So how we can help you adapt to those shrinking booking windows and volatile demand by automating the pricing work. And we're, like I say, humans can't react to us quick enough. So we'll start firstly with the core question. Why does dynamic pricing matter more today than it ever has? It's because basically the old world of fixed pricing simply doesn't match the new booking behavior. And when guests book earlier, fixed prices are relatively stable. But when guests book inside 30 days, 7 days, or even the same day, fixed rates just becomes a liability. So here's what happens. You miss sudden spikes in late demand, you stay too expensive and demand drops, or you lose booking windows because minimum stays or rates are out of sync. So you spend time just trying to adjust your prices manually, but still fall behind the competitors who update their pricing automatically. So this is where dynamic pricing kind of flips this. It updates your pricing daily or more often than needed. And so you can react as quickly as your guests do. So basically, that's one of the key ways to stay ahead of your competition, and when obviously the booking windows changes as well. Cool. So just to understand why booking behavior matters so much in today's market, let's just take a deep dive in the UK data. So what we're actually seeing from our data. So here's where the pressure really grows. So the UK service accommodation market has expanded exponentially quickly. So based on our data, so this is the data that we pulled from Airbnb, we track around about 5,000 active service accommodation listings. Obviously, this is just a portion of the wider service accommodation market. I believe it's around about 56,000 plus apartments nationally. But from the Airbnb data perspective, we see around 50% supply growth over the past year. And some key urban hubs are showing strong double-digit figures. So for example, in London, we have a 22% increase. This is probably driven by, let's say, corporate travel or like some continued investment within London. Edinburgh, for example, has also grown by 12%. So obviously these major festivals that are happening in Edinburgh uh, might have a peak. And in Manchester also as well, which is another key city, they grew by 14%. So again, it's probably fueled by different events or just those longer stays are also playing an effect. So here's the challenge. Demand, which is measured in booked nights, grew by 12%, but supply grew by 15%. So when supply grows faster than demand, competition actually tightens. That's exactly when operators with dynamic pricing, strong OTA visibility, and also as well responsive minimum stay strategies and efficient operational workflows outperform the rest. So as we can see, late booking demand is there, but you need to capture it if your pricing distribution and operations are moving fast enough. So occupancy across the UK service accommodations remain largely stable year on year. So at a first glance, that may sound a little bit unremarkable. It's actually one of the most important signals in the market today. Because if occupancy isn't moving much, the operators feel more pressure. So the challenge isn't just the volume of demand, but it's when demand is arriving. So when more bookings are happening inside the shorter booking windows, that creates more gaps in the calendar, more unpredictability week on week, and more pressure to respond quickly. Stable occupancy with shrinking booking windows means revenue now depends on reacting faster to later demand and not just chasing demand overall. This slide shows is what's the upside of getting the pricing right. So even with the relatively flat occupancy, RevPAR actually still grew around 5% in the last 12 months. So how is revenue rising with big occupancy gains? So it's because operators who use dynamic pricing or disciplined manual strategies are earning higher ADRs, which we'll see in the next slide. Especially those high value nights that often get missed with fixed pricing. So this reinforces my main point. The revenue opportunity today is capturing late demand at the right price and not necessarily just increasing your occupancy numbers. So here's we're taking a quick look at ADR performance. So over the past 12 months, ADR increased roughly by 5%, and forward-looking projections point to another 9% increase over the next year. So this means that these rises, this higher market willingness, let's say, pay only returns to higher revenue in your pricing. So rising when late demand spikes, and it also adjusts automatically as booking windows shorten. So this is exactly where automation comes into play. And obviously, humans can't change their pricings like 10 times a day. So we rely on dynamic pricing to be able to assist you. Now, we can also look at the ADR on a city level as well, because each city behaves differently. So as I discussed earlier, London increased have the highest ADRs, which could be due to the corporate bookings, for example, or extended late demand. Edinburgh could be due to the festivals that drive this explosive short notice demand. Manchester is linked to the events like football fixtures, different conferences. I believe Scale was also in Manchester this past month. So that also caused an increase in demand. So the takeaway is this: every city has its own unique last minute personality, which is where you need dynamic pricing to ensure your rates follow these shifts. Just staying stuck at a generic rate. Now, going back to the core topic at hand, which is the last minute bookings. Booking windows across the UK have shortened noticeably, and this trend seems to be consistent across all the major cities that we've discussed upon. So this means that more guests are booking closer to arrival, and in more last minute patterns. It also means two things. You can't really rely on early bookings to smooth occupancy anymore, and pricing and minimum stay rules must adapt in real time. If you don't, you'll see those gaps we discussed about earlier between your availability and your bookings. So the demand is there, you just need to get the pricing right. Cool, so now let's see dynamic pricing in action. So just a couple of data slides to show you how dynamic pricing can make that big impact. So listings that use moderate or high high automation see 15% higher occupancy and 75% higher in RevPAR compared to listings without dynamic pricing. So the RevPAR uplift is especially important here because in a late booking environment, those last minute bookings shows us that they have the highest rates, which shows us the difference in having dynamic pricing. Properties, this also reflected in the occupancy. So if you use dynamic pricing, you'll achieve 15% higher occupancy compared to those who use without it. And this is because like automation opens up gaps at the right times. It syncs minimum stay rules with demand and responds faster to dips in occupancy. So it adjusts pricing when guests start to book closer to arrival. Simply, dynamic pricing fills in more of those empty booking slots or more nights. So especially those nights that are hardest to fill when booking windows starts to shrink. And also within the ADR as well. So listings who use strong automation see around 30%, 36% increase in their ADR. So this makes perfect sense in late booking market. So when bookings happen closer to arrival, the highest value nights are often the last few nights that sell. So if your prices don't increase in real time when demand spikes, especially during events, weekends, or sudden surges in the market, you end up selling premium nights at an average rate. So dynamic pricing kicks in and it helps you capture those peaks instead of missing that opportune moment. You can actually adjust automatically as guests start making those decisions even faster. Cool. So we also see this within RevPAR. So you see this as the graduate trend as well. Listings using the higher dynamic pricing see around a 76% in RevPAR. So we mentioned this earlier. And in a compressed booking window market, this gap only just grows. RevPAR is the metric that benefits the most from the late booking behavior. So these shorter booking windows, high last minute willingness to pay more, and faster market shifts, and RevPAR captures all of those movements. And automation ensures you monetize them rather just react too slowly. So late bookings are no longer cheap gaps, as we used to call them. The revenue spikes. So even your pricing can keep up with it. So there are two key levers to capture last minute demand. So the first one is, of course, your pricing, and this determines how competitive and profitable you are when guests are searching last minute. The second is the minimum stay rules. So this determines whether you're eligible for those bookings, especially those short gaps that appear inside those smaller booking windows. So when booking behavior shifts later, both levels need to become more flexible and more responsive. So first things first, having the right price. So I know this sounds pretty basic, but this is basically the foundation ensuring you get the price right. So we broke this down into four key signals. Market demand. So when searches or bookings spike suddenly, prices must rise immediately, not just after a manual review. Local events. Events create faster, short notice demand. So automation ensures that prices react in real time, even if you don't know the event, even if you don't know if the event is happening, let's say. Um, your booking window. So shorter booking windows means demand appears in concentrated bursts. So your prices must adjust quickly to match that booking behavior. And also as well, your occupancy. So if you're nearly full, your remaining nights should all instantly become more expensive. So just to capture that additional revenue. So the key message here, so these signals shift very quickly, and automation allows you your pricing to shift with them as well. So just the quick slide to just show you what's behind PriceLabs. So on the left, you'll see the key components adjusts daily based on real-time data. So the base price, the seasonality, the day of week patterns, lead time behavior, neighborhood demand, eternal occupancy. And on the right, you'll see also your strategy in place. So these are what we call the user-defined customizations, which could be your minimum price, any date overrides, your own custom logic could be applied in any way. So if you think of it this way, automation handles the speed, but you handle the strategy. So we're just there to also assist you to react quicker, but overall you stay in control. And if you access PriceLabs dashboard, so if you feel like to start your own free trial, you'll start seeing your prices are already adapting. So in a simple real world example of automation, working the same way, late bookings also require the same thing as well. So let's say if there's a conference in Edinburgh that just suddenly happened and it drives a spike in searches, we'll react quickly to this change immediately. So even before occupancy moves, we'll adjust your pricings and for those days to move automatically, and your pricing will also move automatically as well. So just some quick pricing checks, and I'll hand it over to my fellow host. So the first thing, as I mentioned, is to ensure that you're getting the foundation right. So your base price, if it's too low, you're definitely leaving revenue on the table. So please go into your PriceLabs tool, or please sign up to PriceLabs and to utilize our base price helper tool. And the second piece is if your minimum price is too low, you may be discounting it unnecessarily and may also attract the wrong type of last minute stays. So first step is after when it's simple, just to check for any nudges, and also as well to adjust the minimum prices when needed. So once you sign up to PriceLabs, we'll run through you these key areas that you'll need to check to ensure that your pricing is right. Also as well to see what's affecting your prices. If you do like the customization, still of course we encourage this, but just to make sure they're not outdated and let the automation take over. So we'll run through the customizations tips and tricks with you, but also as well, always remain cautious just in case there was any last minute changes that need to be made for any outdated rules. We also have a new feature called the Adaptive Minimum Stay Rules. So this will help you evolve when booking windows shorten as well. So when the demand is shifting later, when your shorter booking windows create awkward gaps, or you still want to protect those longer stays, Adaptive Minimum Stay Rules let you strike that balance. So it can be flexible enough to capture that late demand, but also structured enough to protect your profitability. So again, this is just a quick slide to show you how you can enable this. Please have a look at this if you wish to sign up with us. And as I mentioned from the beginning, you still have control of your strategy. So although we handle all the automation for you, you remain fully in control. So you can easily create any override stables for specific dates, but the general idea here is that we will just assist you, making it easier to adjust your strategy when needed. So just some quick key takeaways just to bring it all this together, because I realize I'm running a little bit out of time. Demand patterns are shifting. So booking windows are getting shorter. So I guess a booking later. So these pricing strategy needs to be needs to adapt as quickly in order to make the most revenue. You don't need to rebuild your pricing strategy from scratch. You just need automation that reacts faster in market changes. And three actions along the biggest wins is to turn on last minute adjustments to capture those high rates and when demand spikes suddenly enable any orphan gap fills. So this will automatically fill those awkward small gaps that appear inside your shorter booking windows and switch on dynamic min stay. So this will help you stay flexible and also to depth those right short stays without losing without losing that revenue. Oh, okay. So I will stop talking now because I realize that I'm definitely over time. So I'll hand it over to John, who will talk us through how can Renters United help you create smarter distribution.
Thank you, Christiana. That was super insightful. Yeah, so I'm John. I've been working at Rentals United for the past 3 years in the sales team for mainly the UK market and also a handful of other European countries. My primary focus is the UK. For those that are not aware, Rentals United is one of the leading channel managers on the market. We've been operational for 10 years, over 10 years now. And our main and ultimate goal for our users is to grow their revenue and visibility without limitations. Okay. So if we can just move on to the next slide, please. Just to kind of give a bit of a summary in terms of our metrics. So in terms of the number of properties that are connected worldwide, we just have just under 250K. Amount of revenue, booking revenue that were generated for our clients year to date is around 1.8 billion. And then finally, we've got a 30% increase in revenue year on year from our clients up to this year. Okay. So not only that, but Rentals United, we do have a preferred partner status with the likes of Airbnb, Booking.com, VRBO, etc., meaning that we get exclusive benefits with our API access to their channels. Okay. So I just want to move on to the next slide and just showcase a little bit of our metrics in regards to the UK market. So firstly, we can see, again, those key metrics like revenue, over 118 million generated in 2024. We saw a revenue increase of 22% year on year from 2024 to 2025. And then in terms of the number of bookings, we've generated over 130,000. And that saw a 28% growth from 2024 to 2025. Okay, so at the moment, the UK market is showing a really strong performance. I think the UK is just behind the US in terms of our top countries performing. Okay, so moving on, if we can head to the next slide. So, how can you get your foot in the door in terms of capturing that segment and that market? Okay, so for capturing the service apartments in the UK, you need to ensure that you've got visibility, you need to ensure consistency across all channels, and have that agility across all channels. Kind of echoing just what Christiana said a moment ago in regards to having that last minute availability, ensuring that you can adapt to those shorter booking windows that can proper come up occasionally. Okay. Again, in addition to this and complementing, you need to ensure that you've got the correct amenity listings, and that needs to be up to date, especially for the service departments, because we've found that through our research that more and more clients within this segment are searching through amenity, whether that be a workspace, whether that be fast Wi-Fi, housekeeping, etc. And this amenity and those amenities and this information needs to be accurate, and it needs to be synced across all the channels correctly. Okay. Yeah. So moving on. Where actually business travel is booking. Okay. So Rentals United, we have around about 8 different niche channels that focus on this corporate travel. Okay. But just to name a few, would be ClickStay, Travel Station, Vivri Stays, C2 is another popular channel, Housing Anywhere. This is becoming a little bit more of a general trend and a preferred option over hotels, okay, for this segment, okay. And yeah, if we can just move over to the next slide, please. So my team came up with a couple of kind of 5 keys and ways to really stand out from the crowd in terms of mastering the distribution through the different channels, okay. So the first point would be having a more of a revenue first mindset, okay? Optimizing for profit, not just for presence. So what does that actually mean? Just next slide, please. So I think this is probably the most important aspect and point that I'm probably going to raise between my slides, okay? So offering multiple and non-refundable rate plans is super important in order to stand out from competitors. And with, for example, the non-refundable rate, you can start turning cancellations into earnings, okay? Meaning that you can open up that availability again and adapt to those last minute bookings that can come up, okay. And I'm not just saying this for the sake of it, so it might seem a bit odd, but only I think 60% of our entire users have around one single rate, okay. But the properties and the listings that have multiple rates generally earned around about 3 times more bookings in comparison to that, okay. And again, that doesn't just extend into more bookings, but it also increases into visibility, okay. And that non-refundable rate, having those 2 different options on the likes of Booking.com, Expedia, Airbnb, etc., really allows you to provide just different options and cater to different clients, okay. So moving on, it might seem obvious, but mobile rates, okay. So for example, with Booking.com, 80% of their users are searching through mobile, and they have over 120 million active app users, okay. Meaning that you can tap into that by providing mobile exclusive discounts. And this has been shown to, and this is from Booking.com as well, this has been shown to increase mobile bookings up to 30%, okay. 50% of all bookings are made on phones via Booking.com as well. And again, that's a super accessible way and yeah, accessible way to actually implement that into like the rate as well. Moving on. So I think there was a missing slide I might have deleted by accident, but I just want to mention also geo rates. So again, that can be set up directly with Booking.com, and you can really diversify into different markets. You can allow you to penetrate different countries, different cities, based on off-peak and on-peak periods, etc. And so it's a really easy and accessible way to maximize the amount of visibility that you're getting from the international market. Okay. Second point would be to channel craft. Okay. So you can tailor your strategy to each OTA's formula. Okay. What does that actually look like? So, for example, if we move on to the next slide, utilizing the unbooked listing promotion on Airbnb. Okay, so providing a 20% discount on the first 3 bookings, for example, allows you to be more competitive. It attracts new guests, and it can generate those much needed reviews that new properties need. Okay, so this data is taken from Airbnb, and 50% of all new listings from 2024 that had this promotion activated, so a 21% drop in unbooked nights in 1 month. Okay, so if you're harnessing these kind of different features that the channel offers, then you can really generate as much new visibility, new revenue directly. Okay. Can we move on, please?
I think we found your geo-targeted rates.
It is.
Let's move to
I
yeah.
got mixed up. I must have had a bit of a switch around there. But yeah, again, just to
Yeah.
kind of echo what I previously said. So again,
Mhm.
providing competitive rates across multiple markets. It might seem straightforward, but you'd be surprised with the amount of users that are not utilizing this tool. Okay. Yeah, we can move on, please. So looking at different ways to diversify. Okay. So as I mentioned a little bit earlier, not just looking at the top performers like Airbnb and Booking.com, okay, focusing on these smaller niche channels, okay, they might account for 5%, 10% of the overall performance of the properties, but they are going to generate potentially longer booking stays, generate more visibility across all these different channels, okay. Yeah. So thirdly, grow without disruptions. Okay, so you can adapt your tech stack and your strategy to what your business needs. Okay, so if we can just move on. So for example, with Booking.com and Expedia, we can cluster similar properties. Okay, so that means basically you can present your property as a single searchable destination with multiple room types. Okay, so separate listings get lost in the search and miss booking opportunities. Properties that use clustering see occupancy rates increase up to 20%. Okay, next slide, please. Okay, trust as currency. So transparency drives visibility and guest loyalty. And everyone knows how important it is that I know for me, and when I'm booking any accommodation, and first thing I'm doing is looking at the reviews, okay, ensuring that they're going to be able to meet my expectations, okay. So, for example, one tool that we've set in with Airbnb, we can set out auto host reviews. Okay. So, again, this is just saving you hours, saving you responses, and this is boosting visibility. Okay. Especially when this is done first. Okay. And as you're aware, more and generally better reviews lead to higher rankings, more bookings, and greater earnings. Okay. If you think about it in terms of the manual work that goes into responding to a review, if you can do that after the reservation's been finished, etc., it's going to save a lot of time for you and your business. Okay. If we move on. Okay, and the final side, so the mastery cycle. Okay, so this is looking at ways to analyze, this is looking at ways to refine and report the existing data that you've got. So what does that actually look like? Okay, so firstly, we can detect content gaps per channel. We can use AI analysis and recommendations. And what is this actually doing? Because guesswork can actually lead to missed revenue opportunities. Okay, so if you've got accessibility to this information, you can adapt and respond directly to it. There might be including a different promo or selecting a new rate plan, etc. You can adapt to the ever-changing segment. Okay, and yeah, I think that finishes off what I'm saying. And yeah, if you guys feel free to scan this QR code, I've put my contact information on the next slide. So feel free to reach out to me if anyone wants to discuss anything further in regards to what I discussed. Okay.
Thank you so much. So yeah, so definitely start adjusting your OTAs. I think the big channels have kind of driven the market right now. So once you start, expanding your distribution can definitely help with any with increasing your revenue primarily. Amazing. Thank you so much. So now we talked about pricing and distribution. It's the final piece of the puzzle is the operations. So how to optimize your operations. So now we will hand it over to Giles. So yeah, Giles, over to you.
Thanks, Chrissy. Hi, my name's Giles. I'm the founder of harmonics. I'm just going to follow up what the guys have done so far by touching on some of the property management operational elements. And we've entitled this Operational Agility for the purpose of today. I thought both of these sessions were really interesting and actually frame quite an important start to this journey about bringing business into your business and really sort of pushing that revenue line in effective ways. But the other side to this is actually how to deliver a really good service in a sustainable way that then allows you to really make profit from these. Chrissy, if I can ask you to do slides, and if we can move to the next one.
Yeah, sure.
Before we sort of dive in, I thought I would start with a quick overview of Res Harmonics and how to use it to introduce the steps and sort of the operational flow. So Res Harmonics is a PMS and guest experience platform designed to simplify operations for serviced accommodation, co-living and flexible living providers. So our platform centralizes your business processes, reduces manual work and helps you run a more profitable, scalable operation. Today, we support 16,000 units internationally across 12 countries, across a number of different asset types. So we do serviced, co-living, build to rent, and assets that sort of run in flexible modes of operation. We see ourselves as a core platform and workflow, where we've also then combined that with 40 plus carefully selected integrations to specialist systems such as door entry, or obviously channel managers and revenue management tools like the guys here. Could we have the next slide, please? Thanks. So the guys have already mentioned one of the biggest drivers to growth is distribution, and we work with channel managers like Rentals United and the revenue managers management tools like PriceLabs. So you can push real-time availability with dynamic pricing, and this really is a major way for you to push your revenue line. We at Res Harmonics sit in the middle of this picture and then help to deliver that service. So could we move to the next one? Thanks. So obviously, as well as maximising marketing efforts through OTAs, we offer tools for direct booking and corporate online quotes via your website and via email. And this is these sort of direct tools are really important for your OTA win back and repeat bookings. So what I mean here is that after you've had a booking come in from an OTA, you should be looking at actually how you can remarket to those customers to for future stays. So directly via CRM or messaging tools, and offering a direct booking engine on your site reduces that commission cost, ensures that you capture key data such as the actual details of the resident and the guest, so that you can then enable a full sales follow-up, reiterate your brand, and guests, even if they're booking online, visit your website pre and post booking. And so it's a really important tool for you to have your pricing available and your bookings available and aligned online. If we could jump to the next one. So after a booking's been made, this is where the world of service delivery kicks in, providing you with tools for automation, reducing your manual planning and response time. So aligned with this, guests can manage their stay, check in online, make requests, communicate with your team and handle payments all from a branded guest portal, removing the burden of managing many communication channels. At the same time, your team will be, if you can jump forward just one, at the same time, your team will be running housekeeping schedules on autopilot, raise and track maintenance issues, and ensure that your issues are logged, prioritized and resolved. And you can do this on the mobile or on the move. So we can do the next one. And then obviously we look at the sort of financial element of your administration. So this frees up a lot of time, providing you with a streamlined and optimized invoicing and payment collection with a payment gateway that's most suited to your business model. Different types of business models you can optimize quite a lot of your costs through selection of payment gateways, and obviously collecting payments in a progressive and active manner makes it very much more profitable for your business. We sync these with accounting software in real time, and where possible, we do a two-way link so that we're pushing sales invoices and payments out to your finance systems and then receiving payment details back in as well. Can we do the next one? So once a guest reaches the end of their stay, we help operators to close the loop properly. So we have departure tools making offboarding simple. Guests get an automated checkout instructions, key returns, and any final payment reminders without your team needing to chase or coordinate. It keeps the experience smooth on both sides and just greases the wheels, freeing your team up. Using marketing automation after the stay, you can send personalized follow-ups, request reviews, and run that win-back process that I alluded to earlier. So all driven by the guest data that you should be holding in your PMS, and you should be enriching during that sort of check-in process, so that you can book directly next time they travel. Can we jump to the next one? Thanks. And obviously, finally, all of this sort of flows into reporting dashboards and detailed reports to make business decisions with confidence to help you focus on performance. In our platform, you can drill down in by unit, building or portfolio, identify revenue opportunities, and make data-driven decisions that directly support occupancy, ADR, and profitability. Can we do the next one? Lovely, thank you. So I've covered these parts of the PMS as they're areas where we see operators really need value from a property management system. So it's now important to highlight why operational efficiency is important. We talked about some of the trends and the challenges in the industry. So now I want to put that in the context of serviced accommodation. Across service departments, we've discussed it today, we're seeing similar themes, which is demand has reduced from corporate bookings. And we're seeing that increased effect on your seasonality by leisure bookings, flexible living travel, which has previously maybe only formed a smaller part of people's business mix. But the effect of that makes tools like rentals and PriceLabs so important. But it also means that delivery has to be really well managed. And so on the flip side, and as we're all aware, overheads have risen sharply. Energy costs have almost doubled since 2020. Staffing shortages, thanks to Brexit and other unwise decisions, have meant that we really are impacting our day-to-day operations. So guests are expecting more. 80% now prefer a digital check-in, and 65% are expecting a response time within an hour. That puts huge pressure on your business. So when overheads are increasing and demand is soft, it's the controllable costs that will help you manage your profit and manage your business well. So that's the core concept of what we're going to cover on the next slide. Can we do the next slide?
Yeah.
Thank you.
Sorry, I thought I was quick enough to react.
No. We should have found a better way to sort of like, right, this one, I'll just tap my watch on there or something similar.
Like,
so
listen for a keyword and go next.
Yeah, absolutely. So, whilst operational adaptability is a wider topic, today I just wanted to focus on two core themes that bring the most benefit to operators: automation and centralization. So automation is key for operators looking to reduce overheads and maximizing profit. This is where you start seeing measurable time savings, freeing you and your team up to focus on other areas. So we've done a study in an example of a sort of 50-unit operator. And in that sort of scenario, manual onboarding and communication can take sort of 60 hours a month. Check-in and check-out coordination, just simply the coordination, can add another 20 hours a month. And then basic financial admin often takes 15 or more hours a month. This obviously is a huge quantity of time and cost to your business. And so when you automate, you free up a huge amount of staff time, and that time can and should be put back into higher value work that drives your guest satisfaction, which pushes stronger reviews and repeat stays. And importantly, automation also reduces your human error. So when guests expect quick responses and consistent information, and a seamless arrival experience that's been built up through hotels and time now, automation ensures that nothing gets missed. So really, it's one of the key areas of operational efficiency. Certainty in your service and delivery, and clarity across your business when it's running 24 hours a day is absolutely key. Could we do the next slide? Thanks. So after automation is centralization, and it's a key area to focus on to be more agile. We see a lot of businesses struggle with fragmentation. It's very easy with so many offers out there now to have multiple systems and duplicated data. So that can create you disconnected workflows where people are joining them up with spreadsheets or similar. So having teams jumping between tools actually creates real disconnects across your business. And it's why it's so important to have tools like the three of us that are connected together and a PMS that helps you provide the glue for your business. So jumping between tools wastes a lot of time and money, and actually it's key for you to you being agile, to making sure that your processes are helping growth and not hindering it. So centralization is also the key for guest experience. More guests are expecting to communicate via WhatsApp or online portals rather than by just email. Having access to communication history, check-in steps, payment and support requests in the same place help you eliminate noise and track everything properly and deliver a consistent, responsive experience. So operators who centralize guest touchpoints will, in my view, be the ones who can run more effective post-stay nurturing and win-back campaigns, and rather than relying purely on OTAs. Could we do the next slide? So I've tried to visualize the process of operational agility and how it looks for you on a sort of day-to-day basis. Across the top of this flowchart, you've got the day-to-day tasks that make up your operations, from distribution through to post-stay win-backs. These are all steps that are included in every booking lifecycle. And from the very first touch point of distribution, we see our revenue creation. But the quality of everything that follows determines how much of that revenue you can actually keep and retain. And that's the whole point of this agility. So what levers do you have to keep more revenue and increase profit in the face of industry challenges? We've talked already about centralization and bringing data and communication and workflows into one place. This removes duplication. But then we've talked about automation, which cuts out those repetitive tasks and ensures consistency, and whether it's onboarding, check-in, payments, or scheduling. But communication in a clear, fast, and streamlined manner reduces those inbound queries, improves response times, and massively impacts reviews. Tools like WhatsApp messaging, unified inboxes are now really core to staying connected with your guests, particularly as they move and arrive. They'll communicate through different channels. Next is delivery, the operational engine room of your business. The more coordination of your housekeeping, maintenance, and management that can be done easily, the fewer delays, errors, and guest escalations you face. So delivery quality is directly drives satisfaction and retention. The fifth lever is compliance. Some countries require ID information to be sent to government. Digital verification and signatures and audit trails are so important to protect yourself, but also property owners. But it's, delivering these processes without friction to guests is absolutely key to success in that manner. So all of this then flows into analysis. And once your processes and data are connected, you can actually measure your performance and make decisions that improve occupancy, ADR, and profitability. And this obviously makes for a successful operation. So optimizing these areas and having them sit in that centralized workflow brings you direct benefits to your bottom line. And just to call out a few, hopefully these will lower your operating costs, deliver you a more consistent service, giving you a higher guest satisfaction, which flows to retention, profit, and also scaling your business with your valuable team. It also enables you to easily onboard staff members when you have periods of high demand. And so it allows you to blend in agency work where needed, which is so difficult these days. So the real value of operational efficiency is that every stage of your business should become easier, more predictable, and profitable. So Could we do the next slide? So I wanted to just zoom out a little bit from the detail here and just sort of talk about how agility can unlock the ability to flex your business model to increase profits and take more bookings. Now, this is a very sort of dependent on the location of your buildings or apartments type view, but we're seeing an increasing number of operators moving into mixed model operations. So adapting to longer lengths of stay and service so that to match seasonal demands. You know, a city centre location may produce very good occupancy year round and good ADRs, but more fringe locations might work well in peak periods. But actually, rather than letting the occupancy drop in quieter times, actually offering a mix of short, medium, and long-term stays can actually smooth out that seasonality, fill occupancy gaps more effectively. And so during that quieter period, shifting to longer stays and focusing more on relocations or remote workers or project teams keeps that occupancy stable. And as long as you align those with your costs, profitability over the year can be increased. And you know, this is a model I believe is growing and actually sort of allows operators to manage bigger portfolios in a profitable manner. I think when peak demand spikes again, you can then pivot back to short stays to maximize your return. But in competitive markets, operators who can adapt quickly will outperform those who are locked into just a short stay model, for example. Can we have one more?
Yeah.
Lovely. Thank you. So to close, think about how you can get started with this process of becoming more agile. 4 practical steps are start with a process audit. This might sound like consultancy speak, but actually, if you sit your team down, it's a very useful tool for everybody to work through. Map out your workflows in your business and focus on the ones that are causing you as a team the most friction, or look at the ones that consume the most manual hours and how that might be affecting guests. So properly understanding your operations and where efficiency gains can be made. Start here. And that will give you clarity on where to focus. Automate where possible, prioritize areas where the biggest time or error reductions could be achieved. Look at onboarding, comms, payments, housekeeping, maintenance, coordination. Then standardize your communication templates with guests, document the processes, and that will give you consistency. It reduces training time and keeps your service delivery predictable. So, and then finally, monitor and refine. Efficiency isn't a one-off project. It's iterative, it's continuous. Track what's working and adjust as your model evolves. And these steps will help you build resilience in a market where demand and operating costs are shifting continuously. So, could I have the last slide? So, if you'd like to look at how we support this in practice, feel free to scan this QR code to access our product overview or book a time with me or one of the team. We'd love to hear from you and we'd love to discuss how we can help you.
Thank you so much. So yeah, it's definitely insightful. I mean, especially in service accommodation, it's just like you said, like the trends for service accommodation can change so drastically. Like I stayed at a service accommodation provider during WTM because the hotels were just not really my thing, let's say. And within the same building, you'll have like long-term stays for those students. You have like mid-term stays for those who are literally in the process of moving somewhere else. And there was me who was there for a conference, just wanted a bigger space, basically. So it's you can literally get that within the one building itself, which is in London. I think it's quite common, and some of the major urban cities. So if we could see more of these trends and how they adapt to, well, from our perspective, from a pricing strategy, but also from an operational standpoint, and how they can distribute them across as well.
Yeah, absolutely. And, you know, it doesn't have to be just large buildings. We're seeing it done in smaller blocks and also, you know, co-living as another way of operating is quite an interesting one for just depending on your location and the assets that you're looking at. I think there's some great opportunities. It's really about, you know, on the short stay world, it's about stays, whereas towards sort of medium and longer stay, it's about living. And actually, you've got quite wide market segments there that you can address. It just looking at who's staying and why they're staying can really open up quite interesting opportunities, I think.
Yeah, absolutely. That's why we go back to the initial thing. Each city has different behavior, so definitely pay attention to the market trends and what's happening in the city. Cool. So I think we have time for a quick panel discussion. So this is for you to sort of fire out a few questions. So first come first, feel free to answer them. But this is just to give like our audience here some insights of like some of the common questions that we tend to get for service accommodation providers. Cool. So the first one. So what changes in child behavior have you seen most clearly over the past year? So over, let's say, the 2025. We know the year's not over yet, but up until now.
Yeah, I think just to jump in there, so just kind of echoing what Giles was saying about having products that synchronize between each other. So like Res Harmonics,
Mhm,
PriceLabs, and Rentals United all kind of working as one rather
mhm,
than working separately. I think it's super important to have these kind of tools in place so that you're
mhm.
spending less time, or the end goal is to spend less time on the management side of things. So yeah, I think maybe that's not really answered the question, but yeah,
I think you answered
just
the next one, actually. So,
But
I think you jumped
yeah,
ahead to the next question.
so I mean, what we've definitely seen in that sort of traveller behaviour piece is moving towards a more digital first journey,
Mhm,
and really needing that sort of consistency across the experience that they're interacting with. You guys have touched on it massively. There's bookings are becoming later. I think
mhm.
actually quite interestingly, if you do allow flexible stays, cancellations can come in quite last minute as well. I
Yep.
think
Mhm,
people really value the ability to cancel. I think with less certainty going on at the moment, people having the ability to cancel or move their stays is really essential.
mhm.
And as we've touched on, guests are making decisions much closer to arrival, which puts pressure on the teams here. And I think what we've also sort of seen is the reason for people to stay is flexing. Touched on less business travel, but actually I think there's
Mhm.
more flexible living, flexible traveling, where people actually now will say, I'm going to come over for a week rather than just a couple of days, and actually wanting to have access to things like co-working spaces either in the
Yeah.
building or nearby is actually a discussion point that's being asked for. It's one of the benefits of service accommodation, which is you kind of have work and live space in the same apartment, but actually
Mhm.
having the ability to have that around you and being able to recommend local locations or partners, I think is quite an interesting one now to be a guide to guests.
Yeah, absolutely. I think it's that corporate world that in the SDR industry specifically, we haven't actually touched upon it fully yet. I know John mentioned some really key channels out there that can help get that distribution out. But having those key unique like amenities or locations or like types of the situation, the pricing strategies as well, just to target that market. It's touched upon, but I don't think everyone's fully adapted to that market yet, especially from an STR perspective. I think hotels have that in the game for a while now. But absolutely right. I mean, travel behavior right now can be seen in different areas. I mean, everyone knows since COVID, no one wants to book that far in advance anymore, sadly.
Mm.
But then again, like these last minute bookings do drive the higher revenue. So as we saw in the data earlier. So just picking out these little key indications in the market will definitely assist in boosting your revenue. So I think John already touched upon this, so we will skip this question since it's already been answered, and we're just running out of time, so we'll probably do like one or two more questions. Um, yeah, we definitely talked about this a lot. I think throughout the whole presentation, we talked about how service providers differentiate themselves. So let's go to your top recommendations for operators and preparing for 2026. What will be your, let's say, top two or top three recommendations?
John, do you want to go first?
Yeah, of course. Really, I can kind of put it down to what I said prior in regards to like really harnessing the channel, getting the most out of what is actually on offer, rather than just having that straightforward connection. So
Mhm.
like what I mentioned in terms of like the multiple rates, adding the promotions, really squeezing out as much as you can, because it doesn't really come at any price. You have the same connection, the same commission rate. So why not harness it and utilize it to its full potential?
Absolutely. How about you, Giles? What will be your top recommendations moving forward?
Well, I mean, generally, I think the adaptability, opening yourself up
Yeah.
to being able to offer different lengths of stay, I think gives you real resilience in uncertain times. People always need somewhere to live. So actually, if a market is softer at certain times of the year, peak seasons for things like leisure travel and even business travel are much shorter now. So genuinely think about how you can flex your operation to make that work well. In the UK, I would also say get your head around the legislation that's coming in.
Yes.
It's a major thing from an operational side of things. There's taxes, there's renters reform, there's all sorts of crazy stuff that's going on in short-term rental. So read up on it and think about how it applies to your business.
Absolutely. And I think the one thing we all three of us have in common is the automation side. Ensure they get your distribution automated, your operations automated, obviously your revenue strategy automated as well. Still, I know it's probably a repeat that I've been talking about since the beginning of this webinar, but I can't emphasize it not enough that the 2026 market, especially, we're going to see some huge shifts in technology. So automation is going to be key to ensure that you're spending your time with your guests and your strategy, then just looking at what tools to use and what date rates to update and how to check in so that we need to have it all more streamlined.
I think with some of the service delivery elements and operational side of things, I know everyone talks about AI at the moment, but the tools that are coming through
Yeah,
are
we haven't brought
absolutely
it up yet,
tremendous.
so yeah.
It's not the focus of today, but there are some really great tools for sort of maximizing communication and information and decision assistance, which I'd be delighted to talk to anyone about.
Absolutely. Well, thank you both so much. We obviously, as I mentioned, had a little surprise for everyone on the call today. So just like exclusive promo for anyone who wants to sign up to PriceLabs. And also as well, like I said at the beginning, if you have any thoughts or questions, feel free to email us directly. We'll also address any questions that we haven't managed to get to after this webinar. And as this is recorded, we'll definitely send over the recording over to you, along with like a little treat that we will prepare for our registrants today and attendees today. So thank you both so much again. I hope everyone found this insightful, and hope you'll have a lovely evening or afternoon. I'm losing my timings here, so I'll say afternoon.
My pleasure. Thanks, guys.
Thank you. Cheers. Take
Thank
care.
you. Thank
Cheers.
you.